We're going to change this fuse panel to a breaker panel. We're going to be pulling out all this old BX cloth covered wire, these Romexes, because we're putting in a new panel up in the apartment, and everything will then come out of the apartment. Nothing will come out of here. Some of these are already dead, cut off, and we're just going to eliminate the wire, pull it back to its source, cut it if we can't get it any higher, and in general clean up this rat's nest of a basement with the wires running everywhere. A lot of this renovation was done prior to me being involved in this building, and I'm just trying to clean it up the best we can. I mean, we're gonna have these service cables eventually will be mounted, secured, nice, neat. You can see these are one of the panels that we did previously, another one that we did previously to a partially renovated apartment. We recently changed the house panel to a breaker panel. So our first step here is we're gonna remove the fuses that we don't need anymore, because this stuff is either dead or gonna be dead at some point. So we all know how inconvenient it is when a fuse trips, especially in these older, I mean, this is 3,000 square foot apartments, 6 bedrooms. So when you have that many people and things and stuff, there's a limited amount of fuse space. And you can see the mains on this are 60 amp mains. So you have 60 amp fuses for basically a 3,000 square foot dwelling unit, which is a tough thing to sell as being convenient and good. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start by, I already know these are live up here. These are our main feeds that come from the meter. Can't really get into the meter without the UI come and unlock it. So we are going to do this live. I don't suggest any of you try to do this stuff live. That's what trained professionals are for. That's why I'm here. So this is now dead because it did come from here, fed through here, and then came down buses to here. So this was not fused at anything except for the mains. So now we're going to take these, we're going to start trimming them back. So that we'll be able to get to these wires without any interruption. And we do need to take all these wires out to eliminate the panel. Take the panel down, because we're going to use the same pipe coming out of the, oh, you see that wire was loose. That wasn't a good connection there. So we're going to start eliminating. We're going to start eliminating all these cables just to make it easier. And like I said, these wires are probably going to get pulled out altogether, and we're going to refeed the apartment through the attic because it's a 3rd floor apartment and the attic's right above. So we're not so concerned about length on these wires, where sometimes we would be concerned about length if we were going to reuse them and put them into the new panel that we're putting in, but we're not, so it's not a concern. What I'm gonna do is, see this plastic connector, which kind of not really kosher to begin with 2 wires coming into it, and we're gonna pull it out, pull those wires out, and that's good. This used to be a range, which then fed a sub-panel upstairs at some point in its history, and we've already eliminated that upstairs, so we're gonna eliminate it down here, and that will be, this will be pulled out also to its, you can see there's no grounds in these wires because they're old BXs, and the old BXs, they just use the steel casing of the wire as the ground or equipment bonding. So we're just gonna pull this out. We'll have a helper or demo guy go after the fact and pull it out to its source. So there. Now here's the ground that went upstairs. Well, it actually didn't go upstairs. These wires went to a subpanel box location, and then were piped up through the walls in rigid pipe to a panel upstairs. So that's going to get cut out, ripped out. We've already taken that panel off upstairs, and it hasn't been used in some time. So we're just going to try to get this stuff out of our way, make it easier for us to work with the live wires we're going to be taking out. And just makes everything easier in the long run. Like I said, these insurance companies now, if you buy a new house or buy a house, we'll call it a previously used house. If you buy a previously used house that's older and has fuse panels, your insurance company will make you change the panel or drop your insurance, because fuse panels are no longer recognized as safe in homes. So that will be one of our things we have to do here. That's all that. Boom. Now you can see the old PX connectors here. We're gonna swing it around to a point where we can get to the set screw right there, and we're gonna disconnect this. Now the reason we're going to use the same square D panel that have been used previously is just for uniformity and make everything look nice. So we do these a lot in these apartment buildings, because a lot of the apartment buildings that he owns are all, 1920s, 1930s or so, and they're all pretty similar with the fuse panel setup and that kind of thing. So this is a common occurrence in his houses. So New Haven has some very old houses in it. These are old enough. And just a fact about this house in general is that one of the Bush sisters, like George Bush sisters, lived in this house at one point in one of the units, because what they were set, these were big units in New Haven, 3,000 square feet, like I said, 6 units, and they were, really family sized, but they did have a servant's bedroom with a bathroom, so it would be like the servant's suite, and then there was like I don't know if it was a master or probably a den with a bathroom on it, and then a common bathroom for the rest of the house. And the 5 bedrooms are of good size even for today's house. And then you would have a living room, formal dining room, kitchen with a big pantry, and like I said, the den with a lot of closet space. So now what we're going to do is we're going to transition to taking off these live wires, and we do want to be careful of some of these fittings and stuff. We're going to try to get these up out of our way a little more, because these are still hooked up to the neutral. So important not to hit those. So what we're going to do is start out with the one that's in front here. Now, like I said, I don't suggest any of you try this at home. And even if it's possible, if it is possible to shut off, you want to shut it off. But what we're going to do is take this wire. I am comfortable working like this, so we're going to tape this up so that it's not going to hit anything. And we're going to put a couple layers on it just for safety's sake. So there's one live wire. This is going to be our second. Always keep it in hand so it doesn't swing out on me, do anything stupid. Okay, again, we're going to tape it up. This is 600 volt rated tape, so really one layer thick is rated for 600 volts. So we're not going to have any kind of short or leakage as long as we have the tape on the wire. And now we'll take off the neutral. There we go. And that'll get taped up too, even though it's not live. We'll still tape it up so there's no chance of it penetrating or hitting our live wires. Okay. So then we're going to take the bushings off here. And this bushing is just to protect the wires from the metal edges of the nipple when they pull them in, and from any kind of vibrations. As you can see, the nipple right there will have kind of sharp edges. This is our lock nut, which really helps to bond our panel to the common ground of the metal of the system. And take this off. We're going to keep these because we are going to reuse them on our new panel. Now you can see straight head screws, the bane of our existence here. Take those out. We're going to take these out and we're going to go re-hit on. Okay, so we're gonna take these screws out. This is what's mounting the panel to the wall, and then I'll show you how we can then we'll just pull the panel off nice and easily, just paying attention not to scrape or cut or damage the wires that are coming in. Okay. Now the way this works, oh, there's another one up top here, haha, jerks. So we'll have to take this connector out here. This one we can actually just loosen up if we wanted to, but we don't need it, so we're going to take it out. Now, we can pull this off nice and easily. Okay, so that's our fuse panel that is now off. And we're going to have our wires like that. And we're going to go over here. New 100 amp rated square D. And these panels are pretty cheap. You get them for like $20, under $30 at Home Depot. It's a 6-circuit, 100 amp panel, 120, 240, single phase. Got our panel cut screws. This is what our panel will look like, same as the others. So what we're gonna do now is knock out our concentric knockouts up to a 1 inch, because that's what the nipple size is coming in. And we're just going to go like this. And a little bending and twisting, and it'll pop right out. Let's just pull this back up this way. There we go. Here's our panel. And this way. There it goes. And now we're going to put our lock nut back on. We're going to make sure to get it on nice and snug. We will be screwing the panel in, obviously. This is just to make sure it goes on. Now this is a main lug panel, so our protection is going to be on the line side going up. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now we have a neutral lug here. We have a hot leg here. We have a hot leg there, and we have our 6 breaker spots. So our neutral here, we're not going to put in yet. And we're going to put our screws to hold the panel in. We are going to put a ground lug on our ground wire to make sure that it has a good bond. We will use a machine screw to mount that lug as we're required to by code. So now what we have is our neutral will come around. You can see we don't really have to cut anything off of it. The only thing we're really going to cut off of it is the tape. Now, this is a Square D Homeline panel. They do make a better, more expensive version called a QO. Breakers are twice the price. You'll find it mostly in commercial. Some older homes where people wanted Square D because the Homeline is relatively new to their lineup for the last few years. That's their line to compete with the cheaper GE and Cutler Hammer panels. So this, we're going to loosen up our screw here. You can see it's got a plastic panel to help guard against shorting out to the side of the panel. So we're going to loosen up. We're going to cut to really the required length that we need. And we are now going to strip. So we go into our lug, the required length that we need to. And we just want to break through the insulation and do it that way. Now very carefully we're going to place this in as to not touch the outside surface that is now grounded, because you will get a flash and you can sunburn your eyes from that arc flash. Hence you should wear tinted glasses, face shield. Okay. Now this one, the same thing. We're going to cut this. And then we're going to, again, just score through the insulation, strip off the wire, bring it into our lug, and tighten it down. Now you gotta be careful of these aluminum lugs not to over tighten and strip the screws or the threads. And there we are. We're back safe with our unit here. We are gonna come into the top. With a 1-inch connector for our service cable, which we'll be working on shortly. But for right now, you can see the panel's changed. We can put a breaker, and this will be nice and new panel. So we'll catch up on this in a few minutes when we're ready to start again. Alright. We got our ground lug we're going to be putting in, tightening that up. We're going to get ready to enter in our service cable that now runs upstairs. This is a number 2 aluminum cable, service cable. So we're going to have 2 hots, a neutral, and a ground in this cable. You know, number 2 round service cable, whatever people want to call it, as opposed to the flat without the ground in it that you would use from the weatherhead to the meter, and then usually from your meter to your first disconnect point. So we got our 1-inch connector I'm going to put in here. Okay, now we're going to enter this in. We do got to be careful. We do have live bus in here now. We're going to enter in. And we'll use our little handy dandy screw gun here, a little 12-volt Milwaukee, just to snug down on this connector a little bit. Okay, you don't want to go too tight. Now, I've already started stripping off this layer here. Now our main thing we got to be concerned with at this point is our bare ground. We don't want that to come in contact with any of our live parts. So typically my first order of business is to get rid of that. I'm just gonna stick it in that lug for now, but I'll tighten it and tighten the mounting screw later on. Okay, so we're gonna put that there for now. What we're gonna do first is run our hots down and around where they gotta go, because the breakers will go in and we'll be coming in the bottom with those. Now what we have here is, this is a lug that steps from the bus bar to a bigger hole for the number 2. This one is for square D. It's set up to use the proper distance between the holes on the bus bar. So square tip, the right screwdriver for this bus. Now we'll tighten that back up. And that'll be our connection for our number 2 neutral to the bus bar. And what we're going to do here is, just for ease of operation, we're going to put a little loop in it, because there really isn't going to be anything else in this panel after this. So now we're going to do a little cut around. We're going to cut the wire that way, and we're going to break it and get that off. Now loosen this up a little more, and this is just for fitting purposes. We will put no locks on it once when I'm not on camera, but that'll go like that, right? And that's that. And I have a temporary breaker here because they were out of square D breakers when I was at the supply house around Home Depot Sunday. So we have that. We're gonna hook this up just to get power upstairs. They do fit. There's not a big problem, but it will eventually be a square D 100 amp breaker. So it's gonna be the same thing. We'll put no locks on it when we put the new breaker in, but for now we're just gonna get power upstairs so we can continue work up there, which is a pretty in-depth project. So let's see, a little more here. Loosen up these set screws a little more. Give ourselves a little more room in here. Okay. Make sure we're seated in all the way. Tighten ourselves back up here. Good. And then we'll put our second wire in. Try to give ourselves a little bit of play on here. Okay. And again, got a little cut around. I'm going to loosen up set screw here a little more and enter that in nice and snug. Okay, now we're gonna have to get a 5/16 hex head and Allen wrench. We'll be back. And here we go. We got that ground hooked up, tightened up, nice and good. Here's our panel cover. We'll have to knock out one space on here. This will go like this. And again, our number 2 square head screwdriver, the right screwdriver for this. People use a Phillips and it won't work right. Strip the screw. Boom. And we pick up our tools and we're ready to turn this on when the time comes for now. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. I'll be doing more work videos and updates and, you know, life hacks and things. So just subscribe and tell me what you think. Thanks.